Good morning and welcome to our webinar for SFMA's conference coming up in Daytona Beach, Florida, which begins January 22nd and runs through January 25th. Today we have Crystal Rose Fricker and Austin Fricker presenting sustainability and turfgrass management. This presentation will discuss the pathway of seed to the sports field and how everyone is doing their part to be sustainable: breeders, farmers, distributors, and sports turf managers. Austin Fricker started working for Pure Seed Testing when he was just 13 years old as a research technician during the summer of 2003. He received his undergraduate degree from Oregon State University in crop and soil science and international politics and policy. For his international studies, he developed a farm in Nicaragua for the community's benefit. He then went on to earn a Master of Science degree in plant breeding and genetics, working with Dr. Sean Townsend in the hop breeding program at Oregon State University. After graduating from Oregon State in 2015, Austin returned to Pure Seed Testing as a full-time plant breeder. In 2017, Austin was promoted to Vice President of Pure Seed Testing, and in 2019, he took on the role of Production Manager for Pure Seed. Seed World named Austin the future leader of the seed industry and featured him in their 2023 Top 10 Next Gen Leaders article. Austin is currently serving as a board member for the Turfgrass Breeders Association, is on the National Turfgrass Evaluation Program Policy Committee and the Oregon Seed Association Science and Technology Committee. Crystal Rose Fricker is the president of Pure Seed Testing, Inc. and Pure Valley Solutions. Her family has 3 generations in Oregon ag over the last 50 years. She has developed 322 turf and forage grass cultivars, 138 of which are on the European Union list. Over 1 billion pounds of seed have been produced of PST cultivars to date. She has made her mark in research and breeding for over 35 years, where she earned the NCCPB Genetics and Plant Breeding Award for Industry, and she has been recognized as the 6th most influential women in golf by Sports Illustrated magazine. Her leadership in the grass seed industry was honored by the Oregon State University College of Agricultural Sciences Distinguished Alumni Leader Award. She is the Northwest Executive VP for ASTA and is actively involved in the European Seed Association, International Seed Federation, Oregon Seed Association, and the TBA, a National Breeders Association for Grasses. Thank you for being here, panelists.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Yeah, thank you.
Share my screen and we'll get started.
All right. Hello, everyone. Go ahead. Should we go ahead, Jennifer?
Yep, you may begin.
Yes. It's a pleasure to be here and to discuss this topic of sustainability and turfgrass management. A lot of times when we look at grass or turf and think about grass seed, we don't realize all the inputs that go into it and all the efforts that are being taken for sustainability today. Actually, throughout history, grass seed farmers, turfgrass managers, and breeders have really done their part to find ways to use less inputs on grass management. And so our vision for the talk today is to dig in a little bit. We're going to give just a little snippet of what our talk will be like in Daytona, of these different areas in turfgrass management and how we're all working together to be sustainable. Next slide. The outline of our talk is looking at this pathway of seed to the sports field. What really goes on in those different steps. So research and development is the first key step to genetics and varieties that are used on the sports turf field. But after that, the seed must get produced with growers, and all the inputs that go into that, the difficulties that growers have, we'll be touching on that. And then we have to have a distribution network and a service piece to help get the seed planted correctly, distributed to the sports turf manager, and handled correctly out on the field for management. Besides that, we also have the sports turf manager himself or herself and all the things that they must go through to create the beautiful turf that we see every game day. So we're excited to share a little bit more about this. Austin, you want to take it away?
Yeah, next slide, please. So we're going to start out where it all begins, and this is where both Crystal and I have our background in plant breeding, so we get really excited when we talk about this topic specifically. When we do the full talk, we have a really great interview and presentation by Dr. Melody Fraser. She's a plant breeder located in North Carolina, and she works on selecting cool season grasses through some pretty extreme environments there in North Carolina, and then also develops seeded warm season grasses. So very excited to show you all what Melody has to share, and then hopefully you guys have some questions, and we can get the conversation going a little bit, and so we can show you guys a little bit of what we do on the breeding side and the things that we work on to improve sustainability and get the product down the pipeline that works better for all of you. And so if anybody today has anything they'd like to learn about, we're hoping to get a little bit of feedback, and then we'll incorporate that into the presentation we do out in Daytona. So please feel free to comment throughout the presentation, and then at the end we'll go through and answer questions. Next slide, please. Production. So a lot of the production happens out here in Oregon, where we're located. We have a great environment for grass seed production and seed production in general. We get plenty of rainfall, moderate winters, and then really dry summers. So it gives us a great opportunity to go out, harvest seed, get it to dry down, and produce a really high quality product. And so we work with thousands of growers out here in Oregon, Washington, and Idaho, and then also in Minnesota and Canada and New Zealand and all places across the world. But we're focused pretty much on the production here in Oregon in the Willamette Valley. And we have a really cool interview from a grower just up the road here, talking about some of the technologies that he uses and some of the struggles that he faces with his farming operation. And I think it's something that we don't think about a lot, especially when it gets all the way down to turf or golf. But the grower is a big part of the whole supply chain. And so we're excited to share a little bit about what they have going on. And again, any questions you have or anything you might, if you think about grass seed production, there's a lot going on. And so if you have any questions, please feel free to shoot those over so we can address them. Next slide, please. The distribution and services. This is, from our perspective, this would be our customers that we work with. We rely on them to get you guys the information and the products that you need. And so we have a really cool interview with Nina Bolenkamp at Odie's. She works in field construction. And so pretty interesting perspective. And she talks about what she looks for when she's speccing turf grasses, and how she forms relationships with her suppliers, and then a little bit about what goes into her job and making sure that she creates a successful product, so then a sports turf manager can take over the field and continue that successful product, so that everybody stays safe, has a good time, and we have a good playing surface. Again, this is another part that kind of circles back into research. Know your resources. So if you have an extension agent from a local university or a turfgrass science program at your university, reach out. There's a lot of valuable information that they can provide for you. So know your resources, know who you have, use your contacts, your peers, Twitter, things like that. There's a lot of information that you can gain just by being connected. Slide, please. And this is where you guys really take over, and this is your expertise, is sports field management. And we're excited about the interview we got here with Scott Leopold from USC, talking about some of the things that he faces when managing the baseball field there in LA. Some things that maybe you don't think about as much, of the issues that he faces with perception, and if he's out there with a backpack sprayer, the university's right there, they're looking at him, what's he doing, what's he spraying? So all those types of things go into sustainability. Sometimes it's just a lack of resources or an inability to use certain products. That's where sustainability can also come in. So having a product that maybe requires less applications of a fungicide, things like that, and it all ties together through the line of from breeding to production to making sure you get the product that has those things built in. So yeah, this is just a quick overview, but really excited about the talk and sharing a little bit from our perspective, and all the way through down to hopefully generating a good conversation with all of you turfgrass managers, so we can have a good time there in Daytona and learn a little bit from each other.
Next slide. Over here. Yeah, next slide. Some of the things that we've been learning, and I think is very important for our industry, is we need to do a better job of telling our story. We talk about educate, network, and advocate. And sometimes, I mean, we have a lot of great universities that are helping to educate the next generation, but we all need to do our part and tell the story. Sometimes you can't just educate someone, you just need to share your story and what's working for you if they have a certain opinion about grass and the use of grass. But once you start telling your story, it becomes more real and they can interact and relate, because what we're finding is most people really want a green environment with grass in it, but they want a good story. They want to feel like it's a good situation. And so we're finding that if we can talk about drought tolerant turf, for example, that makes a difference. And that's of interest because we're using less water, but we still have a green space, which people really enjoy. So some of the ways we can do this is interacting with our younger generation so that they understand a little bit more about agriculture and the turfgrass industry. And there's a lot of different programs involved in that, which we'll talk about. And then in our industry, we also have all these associations that you can get involved in to network and meet other people. And it may not just be sports turf managers that you're interacting with, but some of the other groups, irrigation, equipment. And as we interact more with these people, we realize we all have a similar mission, and that is to help people grow better grass. So by telling our story, interacting, it just makes our whole industry stronger. And so that's something that we want to also talk about. To be a sustainable industry, people need to understand us, appreciate us, and we need to appreciate the people using our grass and do everything we can to get a positive message out there. So we're so happy to be here today for this webinar. Hope we've given you some insights to our talk, and really hope that there'll be a few of you that will give us some chat questions that we can answer and ideas that we can put into our polls that we're going to do during our talk in Daytona to get feedback and get some discussions going there about other ways that we can really be sustainable in our industry. So this is where we're going to look for questions. Our chat box.
I didn't mention this while I was talking, but during the live presentation in Daytona, we're going to have live polls throughout so that we can hopefully generate some interaction.
So we'll leave the Q&A open for a little bit while everybody's getting their thoughts together. Just a reminder, this presentation, Sustainability and Turfgrass Management, will be presented on Tuesday, January 23rd at the conference in Daytona Beach from 11 to 12. And this is certainly one to add to your schedule. We don't want to miss this one. If you're unable to attend the conference, all of the sessions will be recorded and available for purchase on the SFMA website. If you are a conference attendee, the library will be free for purchase. So if you happen to not be able to catch this one while you're there, you can always go to the website and view it after the conference. Okay, any questions, comments? You can add it into the chat. Okay, doesn't look like we're going to have any questions for today. Thank you, panelists, for being here. Did you have any last thoughts?
We're just looking forward to being there, and hopefully we'll get some questions in Daytona. So that'll be all good.
Very good. Thank you so much for being here, and we certainly hope to see everybody in Daytona. We're looking forward to this presentation. Thanks again, panelists.
Thank you.
Jennifer.